Okay, our beloveds, today we will take a tangent, a complete different path, which is similar yet not what we have discussed before. You're being pulled in many directions. Picture being an octopus where different energies pull each arm and are pulling you in varying directions, and you feel like you're ready to pop or to explode or something because it's all just too much. We ask you to work. We ask you to grow. We ask you to sit and explore your navel. We ask you to be love. We ask you to be light. We ask you to do. We ask you to be. We ask you to observe. We ask you to feel. We ask you to release. Yet we ask you not to attach. There are so many different lessons that we share with you for those of you who are listening. And then there's the rest who are not even listening, who cannot understand or imagine what this planet is going through. They just know it does not feel good, and they wish for it all to stop, to resume back to normal, whatever normal was, because at least it was familiar. You may not have liked being a cog in a wheel, but it was familiar, and to a certain extent, it was predictable. You're feeling the uncertainty of quicksand under your feet and how the waves of the energy are moving, and you can't seem to get solid footing. The moment that you feel like you've got it figured out, we shift the soil underneath you again with another earthquake where you have to reassess where you can stand to feel safe. And then 3 days later, we do it again and again and again. And it's very difficult for you to attach to anything because it is constantly shifting like quicksand. And you're beginning to realize that this is the resiliency that we spoke of, that those of you who wish to transition through this time harmoniously will need to work with us in order to understand how to get through the eye of the needle. When you have so many barnacles that are attached to you on the outside telling you what life is meant to be, how it is meant to be lived, how it's meant to look, how you're meant to behave, how you're meant to study, how you're meant to feel, what you're meant to believe, why you're meant to be with one person versus another, what vehicle, what clothing, what home, what region of the country, what political affiliation, what religious affiliation, what. All of these different energies are trying to pull you back into their belief system, because without you and the collective you, they starve, they die, they shrivel up and go away. Each energy has its own desire to continue to exist, and you are its food. Your thoughts, your emotions, whether positive or negative, if you pray to a God, you are feeding that God. If you're resisting an opposing energy with the theme of a particular energy, you're feeding that particular energy. It is your thoughts which are the energetic food for those unseen energies that you have been feeding for millennia. And now for those of you who are really paying attention, you can see how when you starve those energies, they get a little meaner, a little nastier, a little more in your face, trying to get you to bite again. And the more you starve them, the hungrier they get, because they're dying before your eyes. So you're realizing that the increased pressure that is being felt is merely a new energy being birthed and the death of the old one. And soon this energy will crack open and will give birth to lots of new baby energies that come from that, which will be birthed in love and light. in the universal energy of the divine feminine, in the universal energy of the yin and not the yang, in the universal energy of the feminine rising to the top like cream to find her respective place within the patriarchal structure which has governed you to date. And it is going to be a battle of sorts as new energies come in with vastly different ideas and proposals. And you all will watch this battle as the old energy does not wish to die off or give up much of its power. It's one thing if you're permitted into the room, but you must sit in the corner, not at the corporate table where the board of directors sit who make the decisions. You may bring us coffee and tea. You may sit as a secretary. You may observe as a journalist. But you certainly are not permitted to actually have a seat at the table and participate in the decision making. This is a white man's world. These are the dynamics that you are feeling now. And you just hold steady on your tack as your sailboat is going where it's designed to go. And you adjust the sails as need be to continue to adjust the tack as the winds shift. You must be very flexible at this time, very attuned to the nuances of the shifts in energies. And not everybody needs to do this. Only the captains of the boat. The rest of you who are crew, listen carefully and take action when needed, but don't worry too much about the details because that's what the captain is there to do, to steer you in the correct direction, while the rest of you are merely the support team to help keep everything else running smoothly so that the captain can focus on his singular task, and that is to get you to the end destination. You are feeling how many, many things are shifting now and how it feels to be kind of lost at sea, similar to the Israelites in the desert for 40 years. You have no idea where you're going. You do realize you're not going back to where you came from, though many of you do longingly and nostalgically remember those times, even though you don't remember them accurately. But that is human nature, to create a different memory pattern that is much more positive than it was in reality when you were living it. And you will find with time that as you move into this new energy and compare it to the old energy, you will realize how limiting the old energy was and how it really did not allow for individual growth, prosperity, creativity, self-expression. It was definitely ant in an anthill mentality where everybody had to behave the same. And now you will be permitted to be an ant with a top hat or a tutu or whatever your expression of self is. So it will be a slow progress moving from the ant colony to the fairy colony, but you will get there. You will get there because the energetic imprint is going to guide you there, much like the Wizard of Oz. We would encourage many of you to watch The Wizard of Oz again and to look at it through new eyes. Realize that the wizard is the patriarchy, and you have now pulled back the curtain and exposed that it really isn't real. It's been a fabrication in order to keep you all believing that you were lesser than. And as you are now on this journey of self-exploration and realize the Wizard of Oz is merely a magician, so to speak, behind the curtain and nothing different, then you realize that you really do have the power within you, and you always have had the power within you. And once you realize that, the rest of the journey is almost nonsensical because you no longer need to find yourself because you've been perfect and whole all along. And then you can go along your journey with a different expression of self, which is, I have always been perfect. I've always known who I was deep down within. And I want to now just get to know that part of me because I am whole, exactly as I am. So going back to that original imprint of the octopus, we want you to really think about the octopi and how super intelligent they are. They're curious, they're clever, They're playful, they are naughty, sometimes a little vindictive because they do things to harm others in the animal kingdom, but it is an exploration of what works and what doesn't, and they're constantly exploring, growing, extrapolating, learning from their environment. So this is really who humanity has always been, if you would only see it. You have never been sinners, and you've never been separated from God. And if you can remove those two pieces, that there is no hell and that you are perfect already in who you are, you've just forgotten this, and you bought into this recognition that you are separated from God and must work in order to find your way back. If you've never been separated, then you're not working to find your way back to God, but to be an expression of God through your uniqueness. And when you can fully embrace that piece, the rest of you, which has the holes, the cottage cheese lumps and the holes from Swiss cheese, you will find that those holes and lumps even out to create a smooth surface of perfection. And once you recognize that and believe that, by simply saying, I release all resistance. I release all resistance. I release all resistance without any specific attribution of what it is that you're releasing. You will find that your energetic imprint begins to smooth out, where the cottage cheese will kind of fit into the holes of the Swiss cheese and fix it, meld it, blend it, and soon it will just be a smooth surface where no one will know that there ever was a blemish of sorts. So that is what we encourage you today, to simply say, whenever you feel anything lesser than perfection, I release all resistance, and put your energy on those words and not the backdrop that's causing you to say this, and feel your shift in energetic imprint. Maybe 1,000 times a day today, it may only be 100 tomorrow. But you will see how your energetic body relaxes from a knotted up body to one that maybe has soft rubber bands, and with time feels more like cotton candy, where there's a fluidity to it, where if you get it wet, it just dissolves, that there are no ties or constructs that are limiting you in any way any longer. Trust that this is truth and begin with it. I release all resistance. And so it is. Namaste.